pour les personnes
Sure.
qui... Sure. Okay, so we're
Sure.
just going to switch to English and
Salut Clémence! Salut Nicotine.
there was a quite an interesting question that you had is how to immerse yourself if you don't have the opportunity to travel to another country of which you're learning the language. How do you immerse yourself to not only study but just improve your speaking, your listening, etc.?
Yeah. Well, I think I kind of talked about it before. I think it's not so much, I don't think you have to be in the country to be immersed, and I don't think it's even immersion that's really necessary to improve.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's because I made the most progress in the United States. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's technically still immersion because I was, living with my French husband, but I don't think you have to be in the country. I think it's more just about making it part of your life every
Yeah.
single day and part of your identity. So people, the advice that I like to give to people a lot is to think about like what makes you you, what is important to you, what are your other passions, and um, and try and find a way to make whatever language you're learning fit into that.
Yeah.
So I had one follower who, and I made a video about this last year, I think, and I had one follower reach out a couple weeks later and said like how much that helped her because she was trying
Mm-hmm.
to learn Spanish and she's also studying to become a midwife. And so that kind of opened her eyes and she started looking into content and videos and materials about like midwifery and birth, but in Spanish. And then
Mm-hmm.
I think she said she was even gonna look and going to like a retreat in Ecuador for
Mm-hmm.
midwives. And that really that was a big realization for her because if it's something you're already passionate about, something that's
Yeah.
already really important to you, and if you can find a way to incorporate the language into that, like the language learning becomes secondary, honestly, because that's already such a part of you. Once you find the way to make the language a piece of that puzzle,
Yeah.
the
Part of your
learning
life.
just comes.
Like,
It
yeah.
just comes. You don't even have, it's not that you don't have to try or work, but it doesn't feel so much like work. It feels
Yeah,
more automatic.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. I really, when I started learning English, we didn't have, I mean, it was like the last century, okay? We didn't have all the technology. We didn't have YouTube videos. We didn't have, the
Yeah.
only thing was, I think in France at the time we had 6 channels. So, and luckily we had a private channel that you needed kind of like a box, it was like crypted most of the time. And
Yeah.
there was the 30 minutes in the morning where they would rebroadcast the CBS Evening News, and it was like the captions were in French. So, and I had fought my father to buy a VCR, tapes and everything. I got the VCR and I was
High tech.
recording. Yeah, I was recording that section that was, not crypted. And then when my father wasn't there, because he would have literally killed me if he knew that I was scotch taping the TV, I had put a paper on top of the captions, and I would, rewind, play, rewind, play, rewind, play, and I would accustom my ear and also repeat and whenever I didn't understand something, rewind and try to slow it down and whatever. But whatever you need to do, and what are your tips? What did you use to immerse yourself in French when you were back in the US? What
Just
helped
with my
you?
husband. Not everyone has that luxury. Yeah, I didn't. I actually, people ask me for podcast recommendations all the time. I don't listen to podcasts in French. I listen to one podcast in English, and that's it. And I don't even watch a lot of TV in French.
Mhm.
Um, I don't think there's just not as
Yeah, but
much
you've got
available.
somebody right at hand. They can do
Yeah,
that literally
yes,
live, so that's really
yes,
cool.
I have that luxury. But I have never used this website, but I have heard so many good things about it. It's called Tandem. I don't know if
Mm?
you know that
No,
one.
no.
Yeah, yeah, it's called Tandem. And you can go, I've heard that you can go and just listen to people talk, like there's chat rooms or like people,
Yeah.
just talking. And you can go
Hmm.
join as like a participant, or you can go and join just to listen. and you can find language learning partners. Like I've heard it's really, really
Yeah.
good. It was a former colleague, Spanish teacher at the
Mm.
last school that I worked at that was telling me all about it. And I've had other people tell me that it's really great. So things like that,
Yeah.
we're so lucky
Yeah,
to have with the technology
yeah,
today.
with the technology, you can find conversation partners too. What I
Hmm.
was doing when I had a younger sister, and we were very close in age, so we would talk to each other, like, in English, and that helped a lot too. Um, there was another question too, and I know this is going to sound, and we're going to have to explain this, but the easiest way to um, to improve your accent in a language. What would you say about that?
The easiest way is to get in a time machine and to go back to the beginning and learn it correct from day one. No, that's my big tip if you're starting out is to um, not to view pronunciation as something that's like an advanced skill. That's something that I think that language teachers do a lot, at least in the US. I've seen that in language classrooms in American high schools where they just don't care. Like they just say bonjour and
Hmm.
that's fine. And there's the assumption that students can't do better than that. And they can, and they should
Hmm.
be learning the correct way, or at least hearing the correct way from
Hmm.
the beginning. So if you're just starting out, focus on it now. Like learn it correctly from the beginning. Don't say, oh yeah, I'm just going to say bonjour for now, and then I'll
Hmm.
learn bonjour when I'm more advanced. It's not an advanced skill. It's
No.
not. Anyone
Yeah.
can do it.
Because
Everyone.
if you learn to say it the correct way right away, you won't get into any bad habits that you will
Yes.
have to correct later. So,
And
yeah.
know that French people and American people don't have different anatomies. I hear
Yeah.
that a lot. Like, I just can't make that sound. Like, you can't. We're all human. We have the same anatomy. We all have the capability to make these sounds. So to just change your attitude of, well, I just can't do it. You can't.
Yeah, you
You have the
can.
same mouth as a French person. You can
You know,
absolutely
if
do it.
if you Google any word, yeah, how to pronounce this word, you're going to end up with Google results. You're going to end up with a ton of videos that are going to tell you and explain to you how you should place your
Yeah.
tongue or whatever in your mouth and say it the right way.
Yeah.
So yeah,
But
I
then
agree.
if you're not just starting out, well, either way, if even if you are just starting out, I think I'm a big fan of phonetics and the
Hmm.
International Phonetic Alphabet to learn about all the different sounds that exist. So the International Phonetic Alphabet are symbols that represent not letters, but sounds.
Hmm.
So there's like the sound on in French
Hmm.
is generally written en or an, right? On. But in the IPA, it's represented with an a and a little squiggly on top,
Hmm.
and that symbol represents the sound. So you
Hmm.
go and you learn all of the sounds that exist and the symbol that goes with it. And why the symbol, you don't have to learn the IPA, but it is so helpful because it's in the dictionary. So when you learn a
Yeah.
new word, and you look up a new word, you can see the IPA transcription and you'll know, if you know those sounds and you know those symbols, you'll know how that word is pronounced, even without having to Google it or look it up on YouTube. And that, it feels like a superpower. It
Yeah.
feels like this really
Uh,
cool secret language.
talk.
But to study the sounds that
Hmm.
exist.
Yeah, that's most problems in pronunciation from French people are, I think, to me, is because they care and they see a word and they see the spelling, and
Hmm.
it's like, don't approach it with your French brain. Approach it with the sounds. I mean, learn the sounds of English, learn how to pronounce the word, and don't try to explain why it's pronounced this way or not. Just learn it. And
Hmm.
it's okay.
Okay, here's a
Somebody's
good
saying,
question.
yeah.
I watch shows and movies in French with English subtitles, but I struggle with how fast the actors speak and dialects. Any suggestions? Yeah, study pronunciation. The thing that is probably tripping you up is things that you would learn in a pronunciation course. most commonly, the things in French that are difficult for people are la liaison
Mm-hmm.
and l'enchaînement, because you learn kid is or child is enfant, and then all of a sudden you're hearing les enfants, and your brain is
Mm-hmm.
like, it, your brain is primed to hear that the word starts with en, and then all
Mm-hmm.
of a sudden you're hearing zon, and your brain
Mm-hmm.
is like, does not compute.
Yeah.
Um, and then all
Same in
to
English.
yes,
Same in English with
absolutely.
chunks, because you learn what are you doing, and then all of a sudden you say, "What are you doing?" And it's or
What you
what you
doing?
doing. So
Yeah,
it's yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Mm.
When I was teaching English, we spent so much time talking about those contractions. Like in French, you don't say je crois, you say je crois. I mean,
Mhm.
if you're
Je sais
speaking,
pas. Je sais pas.
properly. Right. It's things like that. I think those are the two big things that make people think that French people are speaking quickly, and that makes it difficult. Is
Mhm.
the liaison and enchaînement, and the contractions.
Mhm.
So, and I found personally that my comprehension skyrocketed after my first phonetics class.
Mhm.
So,
Yep.
and then also the rhythm. I think the rhythm of the language is really, really important for English
Yeah.
and for French, because in French we don't have any syllable stress, or very, very little compared to English.
Mhm.
Um, and so your English speaking brain is searching for the syllable stress on the keywords,
Mhm.
and it's not finding it because there isn't. I mean,
Bugging.
it is there a little bit, because in French we have the rhythm of the language. The stress comes from the rhythmic groups. So
Yes.
the sentences can be split up into like grammatical groups, and that's how the rhythm kind of plays out. So, and then there's a teeny tiny bit of stress on the last syllable of each rhythmic group. And it's so interesting about French is that the sentences are formulated in a way that the keywords are generally placed at the end
Mhm.
of the rhythmic groups, which
Mhm.
one of my favorite things to talk about is that is why we have stress pronouns in French.
Mhm.
Je sais pas moi.
Mhm.
You can't,
Yep.
you have to put, if you want to emphasize that me, that I, you have to put it at the end, because in
Mhm.
French it's not natural for there to be syllable stress in the middle or
Yep.
at the beginning. It's got to be at the end. So it does exist, but you have to kind of retrain your brain, because
Yep.
again, in English, we're searching for the syllable stress to be anywhere
Mhm.
just on the key words, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
But in
Exactly.
French, it's not going to be there. It's more, there's kind of a stricter formula, and that can
Mm.
help so
Yeah.
much.
So there's another comment that says, also see posts of French people from different regions pronouncing the same word differently. Yeah, that's the
Mm,
regional
yes,
accents or, yeah.
yes. And, I get a lot of comments. Pretty much every video that I post, there will be someone um, not from France that will comment and say, this is just the French way. You know that people speak French outside France too, right? And I don't respond to these comments, obviously, but um, I just want to, I would like to address that now, I guess, is that I do know that, and I do have a love and appreciation of that. And also, if you're learning a new language, it's totally fine and totally advisable to just choose one dialect or one accent that you kind of latch onto and learn. You can't learn, there are so many different dialects of English, French, and any language, so many
Hmm.
different accents. Just choose one. You do not have the responsibility now, or really ever, to learn all of the accents.
Yeah,
You can
exactly.
respect them and acknowledge them. You know that they exist, but it's okay to just choose one and
Yeah.
just stick with that one.
Yeah, when I first came here, I went to Washington, D.C., and then it was North and South Carolina, and I loved the Southern drawl. So, but it's, and I came back to France, and I kind of met a few Americans, and they go like, yeah, you kind of have like a Southern accent. And I'm like, really? It's like, it's like, it brought back memories of summer vacation in the southern France, in the south of France, and catching the accent du sud, the southern accent, like
Yeah.
oh, part of France. So it's like And that was kind of a play with my sister to just, speak with a southern accent in French. It's so much fun. So just,
Yeah.
have fun in whatever you're doing, but just pick one.
Yeah. So we
Okay.
have a question about which one to start with. Whichever one is the most useful to you, or whichever one you like the most. I
Yeah,
speak
I guess.
I get told by French people sometimes that I have a bit of a Normandy accent, but my husband does not. He's from Paris, so
I
I
hear
would
that.
I would I would
I
imagine
can,
that my accent is more influenced by a Parisian accent than
yeah.
by a Normandy accent, even though that is where I lived and where I started studying.
Mhm.
Um, so I stick to Parisian because that's what my family speaks. That's what's the most
Yeah.
useful to me. That's what my ear is used to. That's what I like the best. It's also okay to like certain accents more than others. It's not
Yeah,
saying another one is
absolutely.
less or not as good. It's just a preference.
There's no
Um,
one accent that is the best. It's just, you speak the language. And even if you speak it with a touch of American accent or whatever, it's, just
mhm.
speak.
Yeah,
Nobody's going to tell you, oh, you're not speaking standard French or you're not
right.
speaking standard
I
English.
tell my students all the time, like if you, because French numbers are so hard, 80,
Hmm.
90, 70, all of that. I'm like, just like no one will know if you lie and say that your teacher was Swiss and that you
Exactly.
learned
No, not.
80, 90. No one will know. No
Hmm.
one will know. Just
Yeah.
use it. Like even in Paris, people will understand you if you say 90. Like
Mm.
they might go like, what? But they'll get it. And you can just lie and say that that's how you learned it. Say you lived in Switzerland. No one cares. Do whatever you want. Whatever makes it easier, whatever
At
makes
least
you
you're
more comfortable.
exactly. You're getting your message across, so who cares?
Exactly. I tell people that all the time about le vouvoiement.
Hmm.
I just straight up, it was actually my husband that gave me the idea because he lived in Portugal before and learned Portuguese. And he was like, oh, I don't use vous like in Portuguese
No.
because it exists in Portuguese too. He's like, I don't. I just use tu with everybody. Like, I don't care. I'm learning. I get a pass. I was like, that's a fabulous idea. I am going to do that because I found that I was like preventing myself from speaking, or I was staying quiet when I wanted to speak because I was self-conscious about having to conjugate the vous. Like it
Hmm.
was harder for me. Like I
Yeah.
usually have the je and the tu because they sound the same. Um, and so those ones I felt more comfortable in. But when I had to use the vous, it stressed me out, and I would prefer to stay silent
Yeah.
rather than take the risk of misconjugating.
Hmm.
And so that was
Hmm.
a huge thing for me that allowed me to speak more because I was just like, you
Hmm.
know what, whatever. I'm just going to use tu with everybody. Like, and
Yeah.
I've never had anyone get mad at me. I've never had anyone
No.
get mad at me.
No. I
French
think.
people
I think.
are very, very, in my experience, they're very, very understanding towards people learning their
Yeah.
language.
Exactly.
And even just like culturally, they're like, I wouldn't expect you to use vous with me. You're not French. Like
Hmm.
you kind of, I don't know. In my experience, you do just kind of get a pass. So,
I have a question regarding also I've heard some French people that have been living in the United States for like 10, 15 years and still haven't reached that level of English that they feel comfortable having conversation, for example, with, in public and like say and with parents at school and everything. What would be, and I think it's either related to the fact that I know that some people are even afraid to speak with in front of their spouses. Like, they think that their spouses have a different or higher level, or they're just going to be judgy or they're going to
hmm
criticize. So, what would be your advice for that?
it's, I mean, like the definition of courage is doing something even when you're afraid, you know?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I think, I mean, it took me years to get over that. Years.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, we met in 2012. I didn't start speaking, and I brief. It's not even that I like didn't want to speak French with him. I didn't even want to speak French in front of him because I
Mm-hmm.
was in front of my husband because I was so embarrassed and just so not even embarrassed. Like I knew he wouldn't. I knew he wasn't going to tease me. He loved
Yeah.
when I spoke French. He literally would beg me to speak French. And
Oh.
but I just couldn't, like he thought it was so adorable, and but I just couldn't do it. Not because I thought he was going to mock me, but I just had so much internal shame about
Yeah, you
my
didn't feel comfortable enough to just
being
take the leap.
inferior to his.
Mm-hmm.
And so one piece of advice for that, something that helped me was I sought out people who I knew had a lower level of English than I did French.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought
Okay.
maybe that sounds bad. Like maybe that sounds like what's the word? Like condescending. That's not
Condescendant.
how,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, like
Condescendant en français. Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's the right word though. I don't know if that seems condescending or if that seems like insensitive or something. But it helped me when I would speak to people that I knew couldn't speak English very well. I felt more
Mm-hmm.
comfortable practicing my French with them. And I think it didn't even have so much 100% to do with shame as it did with um, just knowing that we weren't going to fall back on English if I
Okay.
stumbled because they
Mm-hmm.
didn't have the ability to do so.
Yeah.
Like it kind of forced me to
Yeah.
work through the
Yeah,
French.
I had never thought of that, but yeah, probably. That's one thing that you usually hear that if you want to progress, you should go like one level ahead of what you are actually
Hmm.
are. Like
Yeah.
don't study too hard of a level. Like it's like the TOEFL exam. If you want to improve, don't shoot for like C2 if you're B2 or B1. Just like,
Yeah.
go from like
You
one
need to be
level
just one
ahead.
step up. Hmm.
Yeah, one step up. Yeah.
Yep,
So
that's right.
yeah.
But yet I think
Um,
you just have to, at a certain point, you just have to do it anyway, even though
yeah.
it's gonna be,
Even though
even
it's
though it's
going to
gonna
feel
be terrible.
uncomfortable. Yeah, exactly. Get
Yeah,
out
you
of your
gotta feel
comfort
comfortable.
zone, kick yourself in the butt, and
Yeah.
just do it.
Close your eyes,
Um,
say a prayer, and just do it.
Also, when you were question about movies, and I know you have a stance on captions and stuff,
Hmm.
and I do share the same point of view because even in my house, living with a native American, I mean an American,
I understand.
we sometimes, believe me or not, even with movies in English has the subtitles on because he has a problem sometimes with female voices and he doesn't, I think it's a frequency problem. Or if it's British movies, then, we'll have the subtitles. And British English is fine for me because that's what I learned. So, do you think that captioning is kind of like, maybe obstacle is a too strong of a word to, is
A
it an
crutch.
obstacle? Yeah, a
It can
clutch.
become a crutch for
Mm,
sure.
mm,
But I don't think I don't think people should never watch with captions. I think you should just be strategic about it. Um, and I think it's also really important to remember as well that it needs to be enjoyable. Otherwise, you're
mhm,
going to lose your motivation. So and something is better than nothing. So if watching something in French with the French subtitles is really enjoyable for you and you feel like it helps, great, then do it. But if you feel like you're kind of at a plateau and you're stuck and your listening comprehension isn't where you would like it to be, then maybe try something else. And it doesn't have to be all or nothing. It doesn't mean, I'm not saying that you should stop watching everything with captions, but maybe
mhm.
for 10 minutes or 2 minutes or even just one scene of whatever show or movie you're watching, turn the captions off and then
Yeah,
watch
it's
the
not
rest of it
legal.
with. It doesn't have to be one or the other, and what works for someone isn't going to work for everybody. So it's not one way that's specifically going to work for
Yeah,
everybody.
it's not one
But again,
extreme
just
to the other. Mm,
approach it
mhm,
strategically.
mhm.
And I, just for the record, don't take my own advice because I love subtitles, but
Mhm,
I'm really sensitive to sound and to loud noise. Like I hate when the TV is really loud, and I
mhm.
just actually prefer to watch things with the volume extremely low and with the captions. I don't know.
Mhm.
I'm weird. So I don't take my own
Sometimes,
advice. So take
sometimes
my
it
advice
does
as a
bother
grain of
me.
salt.
Yeah, I enjoy subtitles when people speak like with a certain accent, I do need them
Bye
sometimes.
bye.
And at other times it really bothers me, so I take them off because
Mm,
I think that, you miss a lot on what's going on, all the language, the body language cues and stuff between two people talking, and that it's a distraction for me.
yeah.
Sometimes it's just like having these things, and I feel like the urge to read it. So,
Yeah. And I will say, I see people recommending cartoons a lot.
yep,
I kind of disagree. I mean, I'm not
yep,
saying no, bad idea,
hmm,
but just keep in mind that language is not our only way that we communicate with each other. There's so much happening in our faces.
yep.
Yeah, in our faces. I mean, do you guys remember COVID? How hard it was to understand people with masks,
You
even in
mask,
your
yeah.
native language?
Mm-hmm,
So, cartoons don't have a real human face.
mm-hmm.
And the lips also. You
Oh
can't
yeah.
use any of those non-language strategies or cues to help you understand. And you might be thinking,
Mm-hmm.
well, I'm not trying to learn body language. I'm trying, or facial expressions. I'm trying to learn French. Those
Okay.
strategies we learn to teach you. I have my master's degree is in teaching English to speakers of other languages. Quite a mouthful. But
Okay.
my master's degree is in teaching, and they teach us to teach you, the students, to
Mm-hmm.
use those strategies, to
Mm-hmm.
use the cues from the background noises, to use the cues from the faces. Those
Yeah.
are all helpful to you in any language.
Yeah. And there's another comment that came up. I'm going to let you read it.
Okay, I watch French things on Netflix with captions because that's what I do in English too. Same. But since YouTube captions are less reliable, that's where I'm able to practice listening without captions. See, that's great. It's a perfect example of just using it strategically. Like if
Mm-hmm.
you like it, you enjoy it on Netflix and you feel like it's helpful. And again, the enjoyment is important. Like
Yeah.
joy
That's
is important in life and in language learning. And if you're not enjoying it, then it's probably not going to be useful.
yeah.
So if
And
you enjoy
also
it and it's useful, then do it.
and be I was going to say target, because don't start studying English that you're never going to use in everyday language.
Hmm.
It's not going to stick, for one,
Yeah.
and then it's not going to be useful. So just be
Yeah.
very strategic. There was one last question that somebody asked you, for about bilingual kids, and if it would, I can't remember exactly the whole question, but
Something about delays, right?
about yeah, developing learning disabilities, if you have to manage learning two
Hmm.
language for kids.
Yeah, there is absolutely no research that supports that
Mhm,
bilingualism in children contributes to any kind of delay or
mhm,
disability.
mhm,
You may what what I have been told by speech language pathologists is that the way they count the words that a child knows, like a toddler, a baby that's learning, it may seem like the child is slower or behind,
mhm,
um, because maybe the kid only knows how to say, like they only know how to say water, de l'eau, um, and like apple and pomme. So
mhm.
to a monolingual person, you're like, oh my gosh, they only know how to say water and apple. But
Yeah,
a speech language pathologist counts that as four words, not as two.
yeah, mm,
And so, but to a monolingual person, it might appear that they're a little bit behind or a little bit slower, but it all
yeah.
comes out the same in
And
the end.
even if they juggle both languages in the same sentences, I mean, you have the example with your kids. Sometimes they switch naturally from one language to another, and that doesn't prevent them from either understanding or expressing themselves.
Yes, and
Um,
I think a really important point that people have made before is that so that's called code switching, right? When like my my son's famous line when he was 2 was, "I want manger la pastèque, coupe it." Literally the most Anglais phrase you could ever think of. Um, and to a monolingual person, they're confused, right? They don't want to know what
mhm,
he said. But it's important to note that the child is not confused. He knows
yeah.
exactly what he said,
Mm,
right? And
mm,
we, his bilingual parents, also know exactly what he said. So they're not confused. You might be confused. They're not confused. And
Hmm.
as time goes on, the languages separate more clearly in their brains. But when
Yeah.
they're two, it's all, they don't have French and English. They just have language.
Oh, yeah. I think that's a good conclusion. Anything you want to add, or what I would add for the le mot de la fin would be that, you need to be able to enjoy what you're doing. If you're not enjoying the process and learning the language,
Oui.
sometimes I hear people saying, but, I learn English because I have to, and it's because, for whatever professional reason, it's gonna, get them the job, or they need to learn it because they live in a English speaking
Yeah,
country. It's important that you enjoy it. Otherwise,
absolutely.
it's not going to be sustainable.
Yeah, I agree. I totally, totally agree. Whether you have to learn it because of work or because of where you live, you still have to find a way to make it part of your identity and part of your life
Mhm.
and something that you enjoy.
Yeah. And
Otherwise, you're
and
going to
that
be burned out,
is impossible. Yeah.
And that reminds me of reading. People say, "What books should I read? What books should I read to practice my French?" And I say, read whatever you want. But when you're reading, make sure you're reading for pleasure and not for
Hmm.
studying. Because
Yeah.
if you're stopping every 2 seconds to write down every vocabulary word that you didn't recognize, you're going to get burned out. That's exactly what I did. I tried to read Harry Potter when I was about B2 level,
Hmm.
and I quit because I was stopping to write down every single word that I didn't know and
Yeah.
trying to use it to study. And it wasn't fun. It
Yeah.
wasn't fun.
Hmm.
So make sure you're doing it, you're finding ways to have fun while you're doing
Yeah.
it.
Exactly. All right. Thank you so much, Elisa.
Avec
I'm really
plaisir.
grateful that
It
you
was fun.
you took the time, and I really wanted to do that with you. So I hope it helped a little bit. If you have any questions, go follow
Yeah.
Elisa, and then yeah, maybe we'll do it again. I don't know.
Thanks, Becky.
And oh, I forgot. I wanted to mention that for all the French people that are listening, that you have a pronunciation guide in French, and that you are working on a pronunciation guide in English too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. So my pronunciation, my self-paced pronunciation course for English speakers learning French launched in April. It's there. It's available for those of you learning French. I am starting. I have started up here, not actually started, but things are up here. My pronunciation course for French speakers who want to improve their pronunciation in English. And that will hopefully be coming out by the end of this year, if not, then early 2026. Oh my
Mm.
God. So watch for that.
Yeah,
I'm
but I,
excited.
I would recommend that people follow your account because sometimes you have like really interesting stories and question box and reels, and they can ask you any kind of question, would that be in English or
Thank
French?
you.
So that's
Same
really
for my followers for you. I get that comment a lot. Where's the French Elisa? Like, where's the person that,
not
like,
the
I
French
need this, but for
episode, but
English.
I'm not
But I think
anywhere
you're the
near.
closest. I can't think of anybody who speaks with as good of an accent
Oh, thank you.
in English. A French person, like your accent is very, very, very good. So
Oh,
I
thank
always
you. Yeah.
recommend people who
So
are looking for
I
that, for more English stuff, to go to you.
right back at you.
Yes. Well,
All right.
thank you.
Thank you
Merci.
so much. Have a good day. Thank you
Yeah, you
everyone for
too.
joining
Bye,
us.
everybody. Au
Bye.
revoir.
Au
Ciao.
revoir.